Odd for expecting more in my ADHD-fueled relationship. Throw away because my work life is attached to my main. I was late diagnosed at 30, now 33F, with inattentive ADHD. My partner, while undiagnosed, has even more traits of inattentive ADHD than me. My upbringing was very different. I had an unusual abusive household during my formative years. He had family troubles, but had a more support system who still tried to maintain connection. We've been together for 3 years, living together for over a year and a half. He's genuinely my favorite person in how he sees the world. Without trying, he's extremely feminist, humanist, and cares so much for those close to him. We've been through some serious shit in our time living together, all circumstances that started outside of our relationship, but we've surmounted all of it. What I'm struggling with is that he doesn't live up to home expectations. I am self-employed, WFH, and genuinely love cooking for us both. He works PT jobs for full-time hours, and his schedule sucks. Lots of contrast between early mornings or late nights. I don't mind doing more of the food chores. I'm better at grocery shopping, meal planning for deals. But I recognize that if I'm doing 1 to 2 hours of chores a day, and he's doing 2 to 3 hours of chores a week, typically cleaning up after himself, it's reasonable for me to be struggling. He leaves tasks half finished, leaves his stuff around, says he'll tidy up but falls asleep, etc. All classic untreated ADHD traits, but he's accepted he likely has ADHD for a while now and hasn't made any significant efforts to address that. I know it's not something that is ingrained relating to gender roles, etc., because when these rare arguments come up, it always comes down to his poor executive function. In other words, an ADHD trait. He doesn't bring up ADHD or try to guilt me over his experience, but coming from what I see as a parallel experience, I find his inaction problematic. I've seen him find workarounds for his poor executive functions in other circumstances, visiting family, taking extra courses, but he doesn't apply these fixes around me. I've suggested he get assessed for years now. He started therapy after a long-term injury, but I don't know how it related to his day-to-day life experience. I love this person, and I see that the only things that hurt me in our relationship are caused by things he hasn't yet figured out. I'm okay with taking time for a learning curve, as long as that learning curve leads to improvement. But I don't think it's fair that we keep having this argument every 3 to 4 months, where there's a week of improvement and maybe a little long-term improvement in some ways, but little significant change. I don't fault him for having undiagnosed ADHD, but I do hold him responsible for his actions, especially now that he's begun to accept his reality, AETA, that I don't think it's fair to have to wait for my partner to take more action in his life. After 3 years, is fair for me to expect more?